Alright, today we're going to be talking about simple interest. This is how you make money in the real world. So get ready to take some notes. I'll try to talk slowly so you can get them all, but if not, just pause the video. It's not that bad a thing to do. Alright, so our formula is I equals PRT, or sometimes we like to say I party. This I over here, that's going to be the amount of interest you're going to earn while your money's in the bank. Yes, the bank actually pays you money. Or if you borrow money from them, this interest will be how much extra money you owe them from when you borrowed the money. P is the principal. Now we're not talking Miss Parker here. We're talking the amount you started with. So if you put $500 in the bank, that's the amount you started with. The rate is the percent written as a decimal. Banks charge you interest or they give you interest, and they call it an interest rate. So it might be like 5%. Well, if it's 5%, you have to write it as 0.05%. Put it as a decimal. That's one of the reasons we did the whole fractions to decimal thing. And time is always in years. So if they give you information in months, I'm going to show you how to change that to years. All right, let's get started. Mark deposited $2,500 in the bank. The bank pays 2.5% simple interest. After 5 years, how much would Mark have in the bank? That's if he doesn't put any money in or take any money out. So our first thing we do is I equals PRT. Okay, and this is a pretty straightforward problem, so I think you'll like it. So what do we know? Well, first he deposited $2,500 in the bank. So we put our $2,500 to show how much he deposited. Second, we have 2.5% interest. Now remember, we're going to write that as a decimal. Be careful with that. It's going to be 0.025. We're going to move that decimal point over 2 spaces. And then we have to have the time in years. Well, it's 5 years. And that should give us our interest. Now, I don't know about you. I don't want to multiply all this together. So right now, I'm getting my calculator and I'm going 2,500 times 0.025 times 5. And it looks like he's going to earn about $312.50. So if he left his money in the bank without doing anything, he would come back later on and have $312 more than he started with. So let's read the question. After 5 years, how much would Mark have in the bank? Well, he doesn't just have this $312. He also has the $2,500 that he put in there at the beginning. So we add $2,500 to the $312, and we get $2,812.50. So that's how much money he would have in the bank after 5 years. Okay, let's go on to our next problem. Jennifer went to the bank to get a $5,000 loan for a used car. The bank charges 8% simple interest. How much would Jennifer owe after 2 months if she had not made any payments? Well, first of all, Jennifer needs to be making payments on her car, but if she hasn't, this is what would happen. Interest equals PRT, or principal times rate times time. So in this case, we don't know how much interest the bank's going to charge her yet. We've got to figure that out. We know that she started by getting a $5,000 loan, so that's our principal. Times, in this case, they're charging 8%, so we're going to put 0.08. That's changing this to a decimal simply by moving it over 2 spaces to the left. Now here's the weird part, 2 months. When we began our directions, I said it had to be in years. So how do we change 2 months into years? Well, how much of a year is it? It's actually 2/12 of a year. So we're going to take 5,000 times 0.08 times 2/12. Now luckily, if you have a calculator that has fractions on it, it's not too hard to do. So according to my calculator, she should have an interest. She needs to pay $66, and it'll actually come out 66665, but in this case, or something like that, a lot of sixes on there, I'm going to round it to $66.67. It's money, make it look like money. Now, it says, how much would Jennifer owe after 2 months? Well, not only does she owe this interest that they charged, but she also owes the original amount of $5,000. So the total would be $5,066.67. So she already owes more money than the car probably is worth. All right, let's look at our next one. Linda borrows $300 from her parents. Her parents charge her 7% interest. After 6 months, she decided to pay her parents back. How much money does she owe her parents, including interest? So I equals PRT. And we know that she started with $300. We know it's 7% interest, so 0.07. And we also know that it's 6 months, so it would be 6 over 12. Or if you wanted to write 1/2, you could do that. Okay, so all we're going to do on this problem is multiply all these numbers together. We'll do 300 times 0.07 times 6/12. And the interest on that after 6 months is going to be $10.50. Now it probably came out in your calculator 10.5, but remember we're making this look like money, so $10.50. Now how much does she really owe her parents? It's not just the $10.50, she actually owes them $310.50, because we have to include the original amount. Okay, let's go to our last problem. And this last problem is definitely different than the other ones. So you're going to have to pay close attention. Watch this one. Yes, this is the kind of problem that gets you an A on a test. Alright, Alex went to see how much money was in her bank account. She found that her $250 had earned $11.25 in interest. If the bank pays 5% interest, how long had the money been in there? Well, we know the interest, or the amount she earned, was $11.25. We also know, as we're looking at this, that there's $250 for the principal. The rate was 0.05. And we're looking for, how about time? We don't know that. So this looks a little complicated, but we're going to do it step by step. So as we do it, we're just going to simplify the equation a little bit at a time. So it's 1125. And then the first thing I'm going to do is multiply the 250 times 0.05. When I do that, I get 12.5. And we still have t hanging out over here. Well, let's divide both sides by 12.5. And sorry, it's taking me a little time there. Hopefully you can read my writing. 12.5. So we do 1125 divided by 12.5, and we get t equals 0.9 years. So almost a year, not quite. If it had been a year, that would have been awesome, but it was almost a year. So that's how you do these problems. Good luck.